The Mirror Witch Trial, the first accusation did not involve magic. It involved silence. In the village of Velen Hollow, mirrors were rare. Glass was costly, difficult to produce, and easily broken on the rough roads that threaded through the hills. Most homes relied on polished metal or still water to glimpse their own faces. True mirrors backed with silver, framed in wood, were objects of trade, inheritance, and quiet pride. Mirella owned 3. She was a widow, childless, and lived at the far edge of the village where the forest crept close enough to breathe dampness into her walls. She made a modest living repairing garments and cleaning for wealthier households. No one could say she was unkind. No one could say she was generous either. She kept to herself, spoke little, and asked nothing from anyone. It was said she liked to look at herself. That was the first sin. The second came when a child claimed his reflection blinked. He was 7, the son of a cooper, sent to Mirella's house with his mother's mended cloak. While waiting, he wandered into the narrow sitting room where one of her mirrors hung tall, dark-framed, its surface faintly warped by age. Later, trembling and pale, he told his mother that the boy in the glass had smiled when he had not. The mother struck him for lying. But the story did not die. Within weeks, others noticed things they could not easily name. A woman swore her reflection lagged by half a breath. A man claimed the mirror in Mirella's house showed him standing slightly closer than he truly was. Someone else said they heard whispering when no one stood before the glass. Fear grows best when watered by uncertainty. Soon, the word which was spoken not loudly, not formally, but often, in doorways, in low voices after prayers. The priest cautioned restraint, yet he too had heard the rumors. He advised Mirella to remove the mirrors to quiet the village. She refused. "They are only glass," she said. "They show what is already there." That answer did her no favors. The first death followed. An elderly man, known for drink and temper, was found collapsed in his home. His wife claimed that moments before he had been shouting at his reflection in a polished basin, screaming that it would not stop staring at him. When she turned the basin over, she swore she heard a sound like breath escaping. The priest ordered an inquiry. Mirella was summoned. The trial was held in the meeting hall, its windows thrown open as if fresh air could cleanse suspicion. Villagers packed the benches, eyes bright with fear and excitement. They brought their stories eagerly, overlapping and contradictory, united only by the presence of mirrors. "She traps them," someone said. "Souls? That's why the reflections move. Mirrors are doors," another insisted. "Everyone knows that." Mirella stood alone before them, her hands bound loosely, her face unreadable. "I have trapped nothing," she said. "You fear yourselves." The magistrate sent from the nearest city side and rubbed his temples. He had heard such cases before. Most dissolved under scrutiny. Panic made monsters easily. "Bring the evidence," he said. So they brought a mirror. It was Mirella's smallest one, taken from her house by the guards. Oval-shaped, with a thin wooden frame worn smooth by time. Its surface reflected the hall imperfectly, bending faces just enough to make them seem unfamiliar. "This mirror," the cooper's wife said, stepping forward, "showed my son smiling when he was afraid." The magistrate examined it, turned it side to side. He saw only his own lined face. "There is nothing here," he said. "It is glass." At that moment, a murmur spread through the hall. Someone near the back screamed. The mirror still held upright showed the magistrate standing alone. But in the reflection, Mirella stood beside him. She did not move in the hall. She did not speak. Her reflected face was closer than it should have been, her eyes fixed on the magistrate with an intensity that made his breath catch. "Enough," he said sharply, though his voice wavered. "This proves nothing." "Smash it." The guards hesitated. Mirella lifted her head. "Do not," she said. For the first time, fear entered her voice. "You do not understand what you are breaking." The hall went silent. The magistrate, pale now, nodded to a guard. The mirror was raised. When it shattered against the stone floor, the sound was not what anyone expected. It was not a clean crack, not the tinkling rain of glass. It was a wet, concussive noise, like something bursting under pressure. 3 people collapsed instantly. A woman near the front bench fell without a sound, eyes wide, mouth open. A guard dropped his spear and crumpled as if his bones had turned to ash. The cooper's wife screamed once before her knees buckled, her body striking the floor with a hollow thud. They did not move again. Panic erupted. People surged toward the doors, trampling benches, screaming prayers. The magistrate stumbled backward, slipping on shards of glass that gleamed unnaturally dull. The priest fell to his knees, shouting absolution into the chaos. Mirella did not flee. She stared at the broken mirror, at the fragments scattered across the stone. In each piece, a sliver of movement flickered too fast to see clearly, too slow to dismiss. "They were not empty," she whispered. "You never are. The survivors never recovered. Their bodies lived breathing, warm, but their eyes remained fixed, unblinking. No light returned to them, no voice. Healers called it shock, then possession, then stopped naming it at all. The verdict came swiftly: witchcraft, soul-binding, heresy. Mirella was executed at dawn. She did not curse the village. She did not confess. When the noose was placed around her neck, she looked once toward the rising sun and said only, "You should have covered them." Afterward, mirrors were outlawed. Every reflective surface was smashed glass, polished metal, water basins drained and scoured. Households complied eagerly. The fragments were gathered, carted beyond the fields, and buried deep. Children were taught not to stare at still water. New houses were built with rough stone walls and dull fixtures. The village survived. But it was changed. People avoided looking too closely at one another. They learned to avert their eyes in conversation. Dreams were filled with faces half-seen, expressions unfinished. Over generations, the ban became tradition, then law, then instinct. When the village was eventually abandoned, claimed by famine, then by time travelers noted something strange. No reflective surfaces remained. Not even by accident. Excavations centuries later revealed layers of broken glass buried beneath the ruins, as if the ground itself had swallowed them. Mirrors shattered and hidden with deliberate care, sealed beneath soil and stone. Scholars debate the truth of the mirror witch trial, mass hysteria, toxic glass. Coincidence magnified by fear. But no one has successfully restored a mirror in Velen Hollow. Those who try report the same sensation, a pressure behind the eyes, a sense of being watched from a place just out of sight, as if reflections, once denied long enough, learn to look back without glass, and the land remembers what it was forced to hide.